This is the main reason why flooring businesses, when they do paid ads online, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Google, they fail. It's just because they don't understand the math between and the KPIs for paid ads. So in this video, I'm just gonna dissect the economics of paid ads for flooring business specifically. And just for context, this is me, Ricardo, the CEO and founder of Floor Focus. I've worked with hundreds of flooring dealers and retailers in the US specifically. And in this video, I'm just gonna give you like a clear understanding on like the micro metrics that contribute to a profitable campaign in any social media platform, whether it's Facebook, Google, TikTok, Meta, etc. So what it break down is there are three layers of KPIs that we have to take into account when doing any campaign. And before we touch any single number, we want to break, a common and dangerous belief that the single biggest mistake you see flooring business owners make, they're obsessing over the wrong numbers, right? They just launch a campaign and they look at click-through rate, they look at cost per click, they look at like cost per impressions, when in reality that they don't really matter that much. So to succeed, you need to think of the metric in three layers. It's what I call layer one metrics, layer two metrics, and layer three. Just so to explain here, layer one metrics are like the most important metrics, right? They're the actual metrics that pay the bills when you're running a business. For example, it's things like revenue, it's things like return on ad spend, it's things like cost per acquisition. Why? Because these are the things that are paying the bills. It's things that's putting money back into the business, right? Layer two metrics is like your core conversion metrics. For example, it's cost per lead, how much is costing you to generate a lead. It's cost per in-home appointment, how much each appointment's costing you. It's cost per show rate, how much is show rates costing you, cost per cancel rate, etc. And then layer three metrics are basically the metrics that lead the micro metrics that produce the layer two metrics, right? So it's things like lead to booking, how many people book of the leads. It's how many people you disqualify. It's your click-through rate, your CPMs, your all those metrics, right? So the golden rule we're looking at when looking at layer one, two, and three metrics is that if layer one is profitable, we don't really care about layer two or layer three metrics if they are a KPI. For example, if we have, and this is what most flooring businesses they do wrong. They have a campaign and they have a good ROAS, they have a good return ad spend, they have a good customer acquisition cost, but then they say like, hey, my cost per lead is too high, or my lead to booking is too low, or we're disqualifying too many people. But because the layer one metrics are correct, now they're gonna start tweaking things, and it's basically that's called like tweaking yourself to failure. Because if the layer one metrics are correct, there's no need to change layer two and layer three metrics. So let me give you an example of this with one of our flooring clients. And by the way, we have a complete done for you service, where what we do is we do the whole paid ads for you. We have an in-house sales team that calls your leads. We call them to confirm. We have some sales training as well. And we do everything that we're talking about in this video and a whole bunch of other stuff for you. If you want to check that out, click the link down below in the description and I'll be happy to get on a call with you and look at your metrics and see how we can help you. But just to give you one example of one of our flooring clients, this is our friend. Here we're gonna look at layer one, two, and three metrics, and you can see like in this example, layer two metrics and layer three metrics they were completely bad for the month. But because layer one metrics were perfect, we changed nothing. We just kept scaling the campaign. We doubled the ad spend because there's no need to change anything if layer one metrics are correct. So for example, we have ad spend. They were doing like 2,500 per month, which comes to like $80 per day. Then total leads, we got around 30 leads, which is pretty low. Our cost per lead was $85. That's really high compared to all of our clients. Just to give you an average, we usually aim below $50 a day. We have some $50 cost per lead. We have clients getting $30, $35 cost per lead. So 85 is like 2 or 3 times as much as the average. However, we didn't really care about that because you can see how many in-home appointments we booked. We booked 15 in-home appointments, which was a 50% lead to booking. 12 showed up, which was an 80% show, and then 6 jobs were closed, which is a 50% close rate. The average price point was $6,000, and the new contracted revenue was $36,000. So if you look at the layer one metrics, which are this ones, is how much revenue was contracted, which was the contracted return ad spend, and what was the customer acquisition cost. You can see like they generated $36,000. It was a 6-to-1, meaning they put $1 in, got $6 out, and every customer cost them $416. So when looking at these metrics, there's nothing we would change in this because they're profitable. All they have to do is double, triple their ad spend because the layer one metrics are looking good. However, you can see in here like the cost per lead and the click-through rate was 0.64, where normally we're looking at on average around a 2%, so it was 4 times worse. And then the cost per lead, normally we're looking at a 30 to 50, so this is 2 to 3 times worse, but still the layer 1 metrics were good. So that means like, hey, this doesn't matter. We don't care about the layer 2 or 3 metrics if the layer 1 metrics are correct, right? So let me give you an idea here of what it typically looks like in terms of core KPIs in the industry. So now that we understand the hierarchy, let's talk about how these layers fit into each other. And we're simply playing a game of finding the constraint. You start at the micro layer 1 and use the micro layers 2 and 3 like a magnifying glass to diagnose and fix the problem. Like for example, if we do have some issues on the layer 1, let's say you're not profitable and you have a bad customer acquisition cost, or you have a bad contracted revenue or whatever, then we're gonna look at the micro layer 2 and 3 because we have to see where the issue is, right? Normally when we launch a campaign, there's 4 things that are wrong. Either we're not generating enough leads, those leads are not booking into appointments, they're not showing up, and you're not closing those deals. So if the layer 1 metrics are wrong, it's because of one of those 4 things, right? So then we go into it and we start looking what's happening. So for example, if your return on ad spend, layer 1, is at break even, it means it's not good. You look at your live dashboard where you have all your data, and we have the live dashboard for all of our clients, and you see your entire cost per lead is $50, but you're currently at $200. That basically means that your layer 2 metric is out of whack, right? And it's impacting the layer 1. So that means it's 4 times greater than you want. So after you zoom in, you're like, okay, why is the cost per lead high? You zoom into your magnifying glass to layer 3, and you see that your click-through rate is 0.5% when it should be over 2%. So because of this, we can jump into conclusion that it's not a problem on the funnel, it's not a problem on the sales process side, it's a problem on the ad creative and the offer side, right? On the ads. So we know we have to change the ads, we have to do some things so we can improve that layer 2 metric that overall improves that layer 1. So, but what tends to happen when the data is messy? Let's say like if your cost per lead is high and then your show up rate is low, one will suggest is an app problem, the other a nurture problem, right? What we do is we prioritize based on 2 things. Number 1 is the biggest lift and easy implementation. So number 1, what's easier? Is it actually like changing completely the ads, or like fixing the show rates? Fixing show rate is way easier because it's a couple levers we just have to pull. So normally if the issue can be identified into 2 or 3 things, we fix the ones that's easier to fix and see if that fixes the issue. So let me actually show you an example of how we do this with clients, just to show you how to identify constraints if layer 1 metrics are out of whack. So we have this calculator where we can calculate exactly like how much revenue you're generating with your campaign. So let's say, for example, your average price of a job is $6,000. You're spending around $1,500 in ad spend with the campaign. And then your cost per lead, let's say it's out of whack. It's like $85. And then everything is like, it's good. Let's just put like average numbers in here, 33% close rate, etc. You can see like the return ad spend, it's 6.15, right? Which is not terrible. Typically, we're looking between a 5 to an 8 return ad spend. But let's say now your cost per lead goes out of whack and goes to 200. You can see how the return ad spend now is 2.61. Now that's not profitable after you pay your crews and you pay expenses. So what we do is we just go into this and we see, okay, cost per lead is the metric that's impacting this campaign. So what levers can we pull to actually fix that layer 2 metric so the layer 1 metric is profitable? And we have a checklist that we typically go over, which is like, for example, are you running engaging video ads? Do the ads have a proven offer? Are the ads being refreshed often enough? Is the targeting location big enough? Is the ad spend too small? Are you using a landing page or a lead form? Does the form have too many qualification questions, right? And then we just go in, diagnose that constraint, and fix it. Once we fix it, let's say it goes back to like, $70 cost per lead. Now we have a good layer 1 metric, which is 7.47 return ad spend, right? And we could do that same thing for everything that impacts the funnel. We could do that for lead to booking. If lead to booking is too low, then we have the levers we can pull for that specifically. If show rate is too low, we have the levers that we can pull for that. If we're booking appointments, but then you're not closing, we have the levers you can pull for that. So when you're in a campaign, all you have to think about is, are my layer 1 metrics correct? If they're not correct, then you have to be, okay, why? Is it leads? Is it not enough bookings? Is it not enough shows? Or is it not enough closes? And when you identify that, that's why it's so important to track your data. You have to identify why it is. And when you identify it, then you just have to pull the levers necessary to do them, right? And once again, we do all this for our clients. This is for you to learn, but if you want this to be done completely done for you, click the link down below, and I'll be happy to have a call with you on how we can implement this for your business. But just to keep going in here, this basically means that paid ads for a flooring business is literally a numbers in and numbers out game. It's broken down into 4 pillars that we cover in the start of this training, right? It's generating leads, getting those leads to book an in-home appointment, getting the leads who book to show up and not cancel, and then get those shown appointments into close. That's why a lot of people that when they're doing ads or they work in an agency, they don't really succeed. It's just because they're not looking at the metrics. You have to look at the metrics. You have to look at the layer 1 metrics, layer 2, and layer 3, see where the constraint is, and fix it. So I'll give you an example of what we typically look for in terms of numbers, what we've seen in all markets and all industries in the US. Number one is the layer 1 KPIs, and this is specifically for the flooring industry, by the way. The return on ad spend that we typically see, we want to see anything above a 5 to 8 minimum. So what that means is if you're putting $1 in, you're getting at least $5 to $8 out. So if you're putting $1,000 into advertising, you're gonna get $5,000 to $8,000 out, right? That's if you're not getting those numbers, then you have to look into the layer 2 and layer 3 metrics and see what's wrong, right? So for example, if we spend $5,000 to acquire 5 customers that made us like $25,000, then our return ad spend is 5x, which is pretty healthy. We know we can scale this campaign because it's between 5 and 8. The next layer 1 metric is customer acquisition cost. It basically means how much money you have to spend on advertising to get one client, right? On average, and this depends on your average job size, depends if you're like premium pricing or regular pricing or cheap. But between all the clients we see is that you want to aim between a 1,000 to 2,000 customer acquisition cost. So if you spend $1,000 a month in advertising, you should get at least one job with that. And these are pretty high numbers. But the thing is that a lot of people think that you can get jobs for like $200 or $300. And the flooring industry doesn't work that way. If you look at all the biggest flooring companies in the world, the reason they're able to scale so big and they're able to get a lot of jobs is because they're able to pay a high customer acquisition cost, right? Because you can do a lot more advertising. And keep in mind, this might also need to be 500 or 800, depending on if you've had like cheaper services. And in terms of like layer 2 and layer 3 metrics, these are the average we see. Click-through rate, you want to be above 2%. Lead to booking ratio, you want to be above 33%. So if you get 100 leads, you want at least 33 of them to book into appointments. Show up rate, if you book 10 appointments, you want at least 70% to show up. So 10, let's say 7 to show up. And then close rate, you want to be above 25%, ideally above 40. That way you know you have a good sales process. So that's basically the paid ads, KPIs, and math for flooring businesses. Again, if you want a complete done-for-you service that prioritizes layer 1 metrics, layer 2, and layer 3 to give you results, click the link down below, schedule a call with our team, and we'll be happy to help you.